9 years old, that is when Hannibal Barca dipped his hand in sacrificial blood and swore eternal hatred against Rome. Carthage was a titan of the seas, a golden empire of trade, but Rome wanted it burned to ash. From the ivory towers of North Africa to the frozen peaks of the Alps, this isn't just a war of soldiers, it's a 100-year grudge match that decided who would own the world and who would be erased from its memory. Carthage wasn't born in Africa, it was planted there. Founded by the legendary Queen Dido, these Phoenician survivors turned a patch of Tunisian coast into the wealthiest city on earth. While Rome was still a muddy village of bricklayers, Carthage was building skyscrapers and harbor docks that could house 220 warships. They didn't conquer with just steel, they conquered with gold. Their merchant ships sailed to the tin mines of Britain and the gold coasts of Africa. They were the masters of the Mediterranean. But every master eventually meets a challenger. The First Punic War wasn't supposed to happen. Rome was a land power. Carthage owned the waves, but when a Carthaginian quinquereme wrecked on a Roman beach, the Romans didn't just burn it, they reverse-engineered it. They built a navy from scratch and added the corvus, a boarding bridge that turned a sea battle into a land fight. Carthage lost Sicily, they lost their pride, and most importantly, they lost their money. But in the shadows of this defeat, a man named Hannibal Barca was raising a son for one purpose: vengeance. The Second Punic War is the story of one man against a republic. Hannibal Barca didn't wait for Rome to come to him. He took the war through the back door. 38,000 infantry, 8,000 horsemen, and 37 war elephants. He marched them over the Alps in the dead of winter. Half his army died in the snow, but the survivors were a sharpened blade. At Cannae, Hannibal executed the double envelopment, the perfect tactical masterpiece. 50,000 Romans died in a single afternoon. For 15 years, Hannibal was the ghost haunting Italy. Rome was terrified. They stopped fighting him directly. They simply tried to survive him. But Carthage's politicians were cautious, and Rome's generals were learning. Scipio Africanus finally brought the war to Carthage's gates at the Battle of Zama. Hannibal was defeated. The empire was stripped of its ships, its elephants, and its land. 50 years later, Rome returned to finish the job. The Third Punic War wasn't a war. It was an execution. For 3 years, Carthage held out. When the walls finally fell, the Romans burned the city for 17 days. They sold every survivor into slavery. Legend says they sowed the earth with salt so nothing would ever grow again. Rome won the war, but Hannibal's name still echoed in their nightmares. History is written by the victors, yet the salt couldn't kill the legend.